Hey everyone, Michael Anthony here. Van Halen, Chickenfoot, Sammy in the Circle. But anyway, you're listening to the only podcast that is dedicated to breaking down the entire Van Halen catalog one track at a time. And the podcast will rock. Ow!
Hello, baby!
What is up, all you rockers, rockettes, and everything in between? Thank you for joining us for a new edition of And the Podcast Will Rock. Welcome back to the show. If it's your first time here, hello. And what we do is we are the podcast that dives into the catalog and discography of one of the greatest rock and roll bands of all time, Van Halen. And we do it one track at a time. I am your co-host, Mark Kmeyer. With me, as always, Corey Morissette. Corey, how you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling really good. I just got back from the gym. Went and pumped some iron. Heard a great Van Halen tune on the way home, which is going to inspire my manifestation. And I got the whiskey pouring here. I took my whiskey home. I'm ready to rock and roll. And this week is the patron show. We bring our patrons on to talk Van Halen with us. So without further ado, Mr. Kmeyer, why don't you give him that proper Mark Kmeyer introduction?
The proper introduction. Well, at this point, they are honorary members of the show, as we have a few of those. But because they are special patrons, they get to join us on the show, and therefore they get their own introduction. So please welcome back to the show, Michael and Josh. Come on out, boys. How you guys doing?
Doing great. Good to be here.
Good to be here.
I look forward to this show every single month because we get you boys on. Matt Lacoste usually joins us too. Couldn't make it tonight, so we're going to get him on just as soon as he's able. But glad to have you two on here, ready to talk a little Van Halen. Lots going on in the world of Van Halen as usual. So,
oh please.
Oh, you want to go right to the Van Halen news desk?
Let's go right into it. There's so much to talk about.
All right. Well, of course, everyone is talking about the remastered box set that's coming out. You can now pre-order that right on the Van Halen web store. So I would recommend everybody go do that. They're going to be fantastic. All the best Sammy Hagar albums from Van Halen being released. I'm looking forward to a good remaster on Oh You Wait One too. I think that's the one that kind of needed it the most.
It absolutely needs it.
But I was listening to some Balance tracks today, and I'm like, how do you improve this? Like, Balance is already I'm prepared to get struck down by lightning by all the David Lee Roth fans. I think it's their best sounding album.
Ooh, you bring forth the wrath of the Rothians. You know they're coming.
I read an interview from Wolfie, and Wolfie said the same thing. He thinks it's the best sounding, and it's his favorite Sam one. So
phenomenal sounding record. Bruce Fairbairn, great producer.
Well, that's where everyone went to improve the sound of the records. They went up to Vancouver. Be a Bond
studio.
Motley Crue.
Yep.
Smith.
All right, Ryan Powell is on my side. Corey's correct. That is the first time this year I have been correct. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, exactly. So
you're my new favorite patron. All right, let's go back to the Van Halen news desk. Michael Anthony did an interview with him. He reveals his firsthand account of the effects of the Maui wildfires. He was on vacation in Hawaii, and him and his wife just got out of Hawaii before they kind of shut everything down. So everybody's in disbelief about the horror that's happening in Hawaii right now. And, of course, our thoughts go out to everybody suffering through these wildfires. Terrible situation.
Absolutely.
Speaking of terrible situations, David Lee Roth released an EP back in 1985 that featured California Girls, and they have a great interview with engineer Mark Lynette. It is actually our good friend Darren Paltrowitz who did that interview on the Paltrow cast. He's actually going to be one of the celebrities, if you will, who's going to be ranking Fair Warning with us on our live show on August 28th. But he did a great interview with Mark Lynette about the California Girls sessions. He did a lot of Beach Boys stuff, too. So that's a really cool one. The big news for fans of Wolfie, Mammoth Van Halen, so much for the sophomore slump. Album sales twice as good on Mammoth 2 than they were for Mammoth 1. Really impressive first week of sales. Let's see. He hit #1 on Billboard's Independent Current Albums chart, the Rock Albums chart, the Hard Rock Albums chart, and the Digital Albums chart. He also placed #4 on the album sales, vinyl albums, and current album sales charts.
Hell yeah.
fantastic debut for Mammoth 2. It hasn't left my turntable since I got it. I finally got my pinwheel color splatter version from the Mammoth store. Wolfie signed the insert. Fantastic record. Everybody should go check that out if you haven't already.
I got it too. And you know what's interesting? Wolf is a very good marketer. If you see all the things he does on his website and all the different versions of albums he has, like the one you got, I got one too. And it's like, why doesn't his uncle just look over here and do those things like for the new remasters or for anything? You know, it seems Wolf knows what he's doing for all of this.
And us old guys are a sucker for colored vinyl, I tell you, because he has about 4 or 5 different colored versions of his record. I'm like, geez, I almost have to kind of get them all. I've only got the one so far.
Couldn't Alex sign stuff for the new, or Sammy or Mikey, and they could have randomly signed posters or something in the album?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, like For Unlawful, you got to put that in cherry red vinyl, right? Balance,
Please
you can have that kind of gross mustard color. 5150, like, you can do all sorts of things. But yeah, we're getting kind of a bare bones. At least we're getting the albums remastered, and it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg to get For Unlawful and Balance on vinyl. So that's really the big thing. Let's not look a gift horse in the mouth.
That's the biggest selling point for Corey, in fact.
Yeah.
Because as we know, this man has spent ungodly amounts of money on just a few records and what have you. So it's good. It's good that for budgetary reasons, this remastering shall be affordable.
Yeah, and finally. Billboard magazine listed their top 50 greatest rock lead singers of all time. And we were talking about this in the Discord about a different list. And it was the top, the ranking of the 48 Sammy Hagar tracks. Whenever you click on those, you're bound to be pissed off because they're just clickbait. They're going to put shit in there just to piss people off. But Diamond David Lee Roth made the list. Does anybody on the call, did you read the article? Do you know where Diamond Dave placed on the top 50 lead singers of all time?
I didn't read it, and you know why.
Can you guess? Where do you think? Should we play Price is Right?
Already? You want to go into it already?
Let's do it.
Oh, we're ruining the format. There it is. Yeah.
What do you think, Mark?
Okay. And this is, remind me, this is the Billboard's Top 100.
Top 50.
Top 50, okay.
Yes.
I think for rock vocalists or just vocalists?
Rock vocalists in particular.
Oh, okay. David Lee Roth probably, I'm going to assume he placed at least in the top 10. But I think maybe not so far down. I'm going to say he made 9.
9? All right. Yeah. Michael, do you have a guess?
He should be at that number, but I think they didn't give him that much love. I'm going to double that, say 18.
That's
18, all right. Josh?
Depending on who's polled, I'm going to say 37.
37. Well,
I'm a huge fan.
If we were going closest to without going over, Josh would win. The correct answer is 20th.
Well, you were close, Michael.
Yep, he was closest too. But technically, he would have went over if one is the highest. He said 18. True. So, but he finished just ahead of Jim Morrison, and just behind Kathleen Hanna of Bikini Kill.
Huh. That, first of all, the fact that Kathleen even got a mention in a Billboard Top 50 is pretty extraordinary, so kudos. And then on the other hand, I go, really? All right, that's a
19
choice.
For Kathleen Hanna, yeah.
Who was number 1?
Number 1, Mick Jagger.
Oh.
Okay.
Stevie Nicks, number 2.
Well, see, that's why I counted Dave so high, is because it was Billboard Top 50. So you got to take in popularity for one thing into account. So I just kind of figured, just on popularity on Billboard charts alone, Dave probably gets up pretty high. But 20, that's all right. But Stevie Nicks is number 2 and Mick Jagger was number 1. Come on.
Yeah, that put Freddie Mercury at number 3.
See, fuck off.
Sacrilege.
Fuck right off. Yeah, I don't. Did Sammy make the list?
No Sammy Hagar at all.
Sammy didn't make the top 50 rock singers?
No.
Okay, so the list is a sham. I'm sorry. I'm saying it. That list is a sham, but whatever. It's fine. Go ahead, Josh.
Sorry, go ahead, Josh.
Oh, I was just gonna say they can fuck all the way off.
Okay, now help me out here. I know some music, but I don't know a lot of music. Number 46, Polystyrene from the X-Ray Specs. Made it before Sammy Hagar.
Never heard of them. And I'm sure in their heyday they were probably great. And to all the fans out there, sorry, but also who?
Gustavo Cerati from Soda Stereo was number 33, beating Grace Slick, Joe Strummer, Iggy Pop, Paul McCartney. Ugh.
Where is Steve Perry on that list?
Steve Perry is number 30. He is sandwiched between Laura Jane Grace from Against Me and Ann Wilson of Heart, who should have been much higher than 29, if you ask me.
Oh, well, there you go. If you didn't think the list was a sham before, now
Yeah,
that
Ann
is
Wilson, 29.
How
How about Rob Halford, 24? Like, come on. Let's give metal some love, man. Come on.
No, they'll never give metal love. Like, did Ozzy even make the top 10?
Ozzy, he didn't make the top 10. He's number 32.
I wouldn't have put him in top 10, but 32 is way back there. Yeah, that's way low. Out of 50, that's way. Where's Dean?
Chaz is like
Dean in the Weenies?
Dean in the Weenies. He probably
That's
finished
probably a
ahead
real
of Sammy.
band. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Scott said Sammy should have been 55.
He
Great
can't
answer.
drive 55, and you know that, Scott.
Honorable mention.
That's repulsive. That's absolutely repulsive. Like, get out of here with this bullshit. I want to know what you shouldn't have told me this, Corey, because now, do you know what's going to happen?
I'm going to give you the top 10.
Give me yes. We're staying on this. I'm sorry.
Okay.
We're doing this.
Yeah, Mick Jagger, number 1. Stevie Nicks, number 2. Freddie Mercury, number 3. Robert Plant, number 4. Led Zeppelin, right? Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Kurt Cobain, number 5.
Okay.
Number 6, David Byrne from Talking Heads. Number 7, Debbie Harry from Blondie. Mm-hmm. Number 8, George Clinton from Parliament Funkadelic, a great rock and roll band there.
He barely sings, but okay, go ahead.
And number 9, Bono. Bono doesn't even know how to sing. Bono's a really good frontman and a really great lyricist. Vocally, he's kind of challenged.
Ooh, I'm gonna fight you real hard on that one. Okay.
And I really like you too. Bono, I think, is vocally challenged. At number 10, Axl Rose.
Okay.
Where's that Steven Tyler? Is he on the list or?
Steven Tyler's number 14.
14.
Chaz is wondering about Roger Daltrey. He comes in at number 12.
But where was Steve Perry again?
30.
Bullshit. Bullshit, dude.
Yeah.
I don't care. Look, I don't care if everyone out there is just like, well, whatever, fuck Journey. Like, yeah, you don't have to like Journey, but do you know how incredible of a vocalist Steve Perry was? Like,
Steve fucking Perry. He's top 10 all day, right?
Yeah, but but let's forget Steve Perry. Have you ever heard Ann Wilson in Heart? Have you ever heard that woman sing? Holy shit. You shouldn't have told me this list.
Jazz Charles, Daryl Hall didn't make it. No Daryl Hall on the list.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know why that was.
Dio. Because Ozzy was 32. Where was Dio?
Yeah, where was Dio?
Oh, no Dio.
Unbelievable.
Well, what I tell you, they don't like metal. They don't like metal.
Yeah.
No Geddy Lee either, Scott. I know Chaz wants to start a Rush podcast regarding Rush. I'm all for it, by the way, Chaz. Do it, buddy. I think it's a great idea. But yeah, Geddy Lee, great Canadian, not on the list.
How about Chris Cornell?
Chris Cornell, I did see his name here. It's number 17. He is between Jack White at 18 and Michael Stipe from REM at 16.
The fact that Jack White is even on this list is, you want to talk about someone who is vocally challenged, Corey. Jack White. I know, like,
I will give you that. Yeah.
No diss. I think actually in person he's a good dude, and I know he has tried. I don't know how hard he's tried, but he's tried to make Nashville tolerable in the midst of everything. He puts a lot of money in it. That being said, his music is not for me, but his vocals are just like, what, bro? Stop it.
How about Lane Staley? Nope, didn't make.
I was about to say, I guarantee you he didn't make the list, which is also a crime. This is stupid. This chart is so stupid. Kurt Cobain. Look, I'm not disrespecting the dead here, but Kurt Cobain made number 5. Is that what you said? Number 5.
Vocalists.
Yeah.
Number 5.
We're not the chart, the list is not for top 50 front people, not top 50 like who's got the best stage presence. None of that. It was vocalists, which means like who's got the best vocals in rock music out of these 50 people. Kurt Cobain's number 5, and Steve Perry is
30.
I'm never gonna stop talking about it, which means Bruce Dickinson's probably not on that list either.
Not on the list.
That is absurdity in the highest level.
And no
you
Dio.
guys.
And no Beyonce either, Charles. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well,
No Beyonce.
And I guess no Gary either, right?
we just
No
said
Gary.
rock music.
Somehow. How
No
about
Gary.
this?
No. Apologies.
This one's for Kevin Brown. I'm pretty sure he hates Gwen Stefani. 37.
Yeah. No. I hate Gwen Stefani too. So no. Yep.
Not even
Courtney Love is on the list. Courtney fucking Love is number 43.
Well, Kurt made it, so of course Courtney's gonna make it.
How about, here's a good one. I thought Corey Glover from Living Color is 45. At least he made the list.
Yeah, at like the back end of it, but
Yeah.
who is number
about-
50?
Zach De La Roca from Rage Against the Machine.
I like Zachy, but he doesn't sing. He's not a vocalist. What he is doing is not like, and he would tell you that. He's like, no, I'm not the singer. I'm the front person. It's like I'm talking to the audience.
Here's a good one, Chaz. David Coverdale, not on the list. But you know what? Dave Grohl is 48. Dave Grohl sings because he has to, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think because he likes to.
Yeah. It's not the drummer list. It's not the top 50.
No, it's not the
Yeah,
drummer
it's
list. He'd be much higher than 48, I think. But my God.
Dear people
Sharon?
who work,
Nope, no Sharon.
who work at
Sorry,
Billboard, who obviously listen to this show, I just want to tell you, you've done a terrible job. Do better. Be better. Get your head out of your asses.
Liam Gallagher made it.
Get your head out of your asses.
Check.
Jack Black belongs on the list. Absolutely. Over something like Brittany Howard from Alabama Shakes. I don't see the
can't
appeal of
sing.
Alabama Shakes.
I don't either. No diss. Like, I'm sure they're great people, but it's just not. I don't get it. And she's certainly not a better. She probably was higher ranked than Ann Wilson, and I'm sorry, she's not a better singer than Ann Wilson.
No, but ahead of Ann Wilson were Anthony Kiedis, Lou Reed, Tom York, Janis Joplin, Rob Halford, Karen O from the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, Eddie Vedder, Jim Morrison. Those are just the first 10 ahead of her.
I take it back. You're wrong about Bono, and I'm wrong about Jack White being vocally challenged. The chick from the Yeah Yeah Yeahs is literally vocally challenged, and I have never seen the appeal of that, but we got to move on because I'm getting heated from this because this is like, And now when the show is over, if you guys, you want to follow me at Mark the Bat on Twitter, there's a good chance, depending on how many more of these drinks I have, there's going to be either a rant or I'm just going to go after the source directly. So it's like, you're all terrible. You've done a terrible job. This is the stupidest list ever. Fuck you. I know you're doing it for the clicks. Congratulations. So stay tuned for that, if you will. Or if you're listening to this show, you're not with the lurkers. By the time this is released, you've probably already seen it. So you can let me know how you felt about that.
Any Metallica fans? James Hetfield? The answer is no.
No, because it's metal. It's Metallica, and it's like, and also it's James Hetfield. I wouldn't put him top 50 either, but that's just my personal thing.
How does Dio not make it though?
Dude, I know. So, but you know what? You know it did make it. You know it made it in the high percentage. Last week's song that we covered. So This Is Love. Yes. Not only that, it was an astounding 90.8%, almost 91% what the dream is. What dreams are made of, versus the 9.2 Dream Is Over. And I kind of had a feeling this one was going to go over pretty well. I didn't think it was going to be that well. Did you have a prediction for that?
Nowhere near 91, to be honest with you. But people love this record. It's one of the highest. Like, look at Mean Street. I'm going to Chaz's Chazalytics here from last week. Thank you again very much, Chaz. Mean Street was 96.7. Dirty Movies was 81. Center Swing 89. Hear About It Later was only 88. Oh, don't even get me started. Unchained 95. Push Comes to Shove was 87. So This Is Love 91, and then One Foot Out the Door was 86. So I am shocked it hit the 90 percentile.
Yeah. Like so high, but But going through and listening to or reading rather what people are saying about it, go over to the poll and look at the tweets. And if you guys want your tweet guaranteed read, because we love it. We love it when you guys interact with us. We love your tweets. We read them all. But if you want your tweet specifically read on the show, join our Patreon. We will have a tier for you. So I'm going to read from the tweets of our patrons, starting with our buddy Sean McGinnity from Sean Geek and Fast Foot Podcast. He says, "This holds a little more love just because this was the first video I saw after discovering Van Halen. That live performance gave me much more love for Mikey. This is a great song off their best album." So, Sean right there, I mean, he's mentioned before how much he loves that album, so that's no shocker. But there you go. So maybe some nostalgia comes into play for some of these people. Let's see what everyone else is saying. Our friend Ryan Powell says, "So This Is Love is such a strong backbeat rocker with one of the best examples of Eddie's use of space in a solo. I love the high energy offbeat clapping to close it out. Easy, joy-filled, what dreams are made of. Thumbs up. I enjoy the bass decrescendo in the intro to lead into the verse as well." So there you go. Yeah, he's real into it.
A lot of people not a fan of the bass fading out there. So
no, but what are you gonna do, right? Scott Everett says, "Van Halen explores themes of romance and the emotions associated with falling in love. Showcases the band's blend of hard rock and pop sensibilities. The song features catchy hooks, strong guitar riffs, and lively rhythm section. The video is Van Halen at its best live." So, I didn't see the live video of this, so I guess I'm gonna have to go back and check that out, because that's people seem to be talking about it. Brad Gould says, "Fantastic blues song, definitely a bit of a rock jam. The bass turn down makes sense. It happens throughout the song. Low volume every time Dave sings the verse, but not the chorus. Drums too, but a little less pronounced. Gives the song a bit of a dynamic range." He says, "Ed's solos, the outro is a solo. They're all fantastic. Might be some of his best overall playing. The rhythm parts during the verse is definitely in the less is more category. Definitely what dreams are made of. Hat tip to Chaz and Mark. Don't forget the cover sheet as a little reference for last week's show. So if you missed that reference, go check that show out from last week." And the aforementioned Chaz says, "If you're downvoting this song, you are automatically assigned a category in the database. It rhymes with smasshole. I have a personality disorder. This much is faux show." So getting sassy with our Twitter peeps. So thank you so much for that. Scott Monroe says, "I echo everything Chaz said. The brown sound, the snare, the swagger, the groove. It's liquid, what dreams are made of in a bottle. Party rock that somehow still fits the darker, down and dirty vibe of the album. Now for the manifesto," because it's Scott Monroe, and you're not getting out of it without one. So he says, "We talk a lot about how untouchable Eddie Van Halen is, but let's also concede David Lee Roth can be too." I'm not conceding that at all. Anyway, but he says, "It's on full display here. David Lee Roth's swagger oozes with authenticity. While some can imitate it, none can sell it like Dave. Some of his best shrieks and screams on this one too. Finally, I've reflected on the bass fade mistake, quote unquote, that bothers us all. I'm okay with it. It's more Van Halen sounding unpolished and raw. It's part of the charm. I imagine Templeman and Landy snorting in the control room, accidentally hitting a knob and going, fuck it, leave it in." So, I definitely agree with you about Dave's swagger. Like, he sells it like nobody else. That's for sure. But I'm not going to concede that he's untouchable, because I've already mentioned, it's like, no, he's very touchable. You know what I mean. He's not perfect. So we're not gonna sit here and pretend. But moving on here, Rava Flav said, "I was ready and equipped for this one. As a matter of fact, I got myself a brand new Oakland scarf right here. I'm assuming that means that he was in for it. He wanted it. So love the Greg Zito says, "Love the analytics by Chaz. This song hits the sweet spot. Every member of the band shines on this track. I never felt that this song got its due or the radio play it deserved." I mean, yeah, I could definitely hear this as a radio track, but it personally wouldn't have been one of my favorites to listen to a lot, but I dig it. Per Lineker, he says, love this one. My favorite from Fair Warning, although every time I hear it, I wonder why they turned down the volume of the bass so noticeably. There's a common theme here. You're not wrong. Yeah, we all felt it. We all, we're with you, man. We're with you. What does Chaz say in the chat there?
The grass is never greener, and there's plenty around. I think that's a top 3 lyric of Dave.
I gotcha.
It's a good one.
Moving. Jeff Brewer also he added some other stuff into the Twitter, but then he says it's a testament to the greatness of Fair Warning that a song this good is not at least in my top 3 for the album. Mean Street, Unchained, and Hear About It Later take those spots. This song is tied for the 4th place with Dirty Movies and Push Comes to Shove. Clearly what dreams are made of. So I would agree. This one wouldn't be my top 3. I don't know. Would So This Is Love be in the top 3 from this album for any one of you?
No.
Well, I don't want to tip my hand because we're doing the ranking show on August 26th.
I see. Never mind. All right, scratch that. Yeah, don't tip your hand. I've completely slipped my mind there. So, I think that's it for our Twitter folks. But since we already have our patrons on the show, care to elaborate or say anything further about So This Is Love?
I do have one thought. So I watched a lot of MTV in the mid 80s, and 1984 MTV showed those videos, but you didn't have much else of Dave on MTV because the Pretty Woman video was banned. So there was this, I just thought of this today too. There's this concert series called the Dan Kirshner Concert Series that MTV would play late at night. And they would play Unchained, Hear About It Later, and So This Is Love from the Oakland show, which is like the holy grail of live Dave shows. And, that's where I kind of was exposed to live Dave Van Halen. And, I became a fan ever since. But those 3 videos and that show, apparently they never recorded the other songs. I don't know if that's true or not, but that is the show of shows.
Cool stuff. Josh, I found your tweet, but it's so mean. You were so mean to people, but it's fine. I'll read it. He said, downvoters say thank you after they pick up their wife from her boyfriend's house. So, you made a little cuckold joke there. Care to elaborate further?
I'm just a go ahead. It's all love here.
I'll assume that was a little break. It was kind of broken on my end. So
a little bit, yeah.
But I'll assume he said something quite positive instead of negative.
Feel free to send it.
Oh yeah. So okay, feel free to send it at Upper Mids if you want to throw some shade his way. But don't do that. Throw it at me because I live for it. But again, we had a lot of tweets. One snuck by me that wasn't on the Patreon. But if you guys want your tweets guaranteed read and I don't make a mistake, then join the Patreon and you will have them guaranteed read on the show. Let us speak into the world, out into broadcasting land, your thoughts on particular Van Halen tracks the further we go on. So that being said, Corey, it's time to do our favorite thing real quick. Say it with me. Manifestations. Yes. There it is. So I'm going to start with Josh. Josh, you're on the show. You might have put into the Discord. I admit I didn't see it. But if you didn't, or if you did, just what do you want to manifest on the show tonight?
I'm going to do a House of Pain.
House of Pain. Ooh, that excellent. It's been choice. A while since we've heard someone manifest that, so it might be time. Michael, how about you?
So in honor of the new Sammy remasters, I'm going to do Humans Being, which they actually released. I guess it's a new Van Halen single, right? Because they released it remastered on Apple Music and everything.
Oh yeah,
sounds great, but it sounded great before.
Yeah.
Yes, it did, Chaz. You know who you are. You little hater. But going over to the Manifestations channel in our Discord. Hey, if you want to join our Discord, join our Patreon first. So there you go. A little incentive, and you can throw in your own manifestations. Scott Monroe says Summer Nights. That's what he wants to manifest here. Perliniker wants he's in the mood for Baluchitherium. And I'm quite sure I mispronounced that word, but that's what he is in the mood for.
I think it's Baluchitherium.
Is it Baluchitherium?
Leucotherium, I thought. Yeah.
Leucotherium, yeah. Either way, that one. I'll admit, don't know.
But it's an instrumental.
Yeah.
So in order to get that one, yeah, we're gonna have to spin what comes. Take Me Back, Deja Vu. I think it's from Balance. So to hear that one, we'll have to roll Take Me Back here tonight.
Well, Jeff Brewer agrees with Scott. Summer Nights. So there's 2 for Summer Nights right there. Humans Being it was manifested by Chaz himself, and I mean he's probably doing that as a reverse psychology. I'm going to assume that you're manifesting it so that we don't get it, because the wheel likes to be fickle that way.
Ryan is so helpful. He types, it's pronounced.
If anyone knows the phonetic alphabet, the IPA of that, please send it in there and I can actually read it. But otherwise that's not helpful. But thanks anyway, dude. Ryan Powell says he needs something heavier tonight. The dream is over. He wants our Naysay song. That's what he wants. But I wouldn't be mad about it because it's a Sammy track. House of Pain from Tom Armbruster, and not Tim because he's not an enchanter. Tom wants House of Pain, so there you go. There's another one for House of Pain. And then we got another one for House of Pain from Josh.
Josh, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. And then Kevin said also House of Pain, and there you go. So a lot of House of Pains happening. So there's a good chance we won't spin it because the wheel is fickle. Corey, what do you want to manifest?
Well, I'm thinking I want to Manifuxo tonight. So I want to go to the Fuck album. And you know what? We haven't spun Pound Cake proper yet. We spun the live track. We haven't spun the studio track yet. I want a song that's going to knock Little Guitars off of number 1, because it kind of bugs me a little bit. Little Guitars is our most popular song. I love Little Guitars, but number 1, I'm hoping maybe Pound Cake will do the trick. So my Manifuxo tonight is for Pound Cake. How about you, Mark?
I'll be honest with you, Corey, and I don't mean to shatter your dreams, but I don't know. I don't know what song is left that can knock Little Guitar. I thought it was going to be Ain't Talking About Love. I thought that was going to be, know, Universal. I thought maybe Unchained, but no. I don't know what's going to do it. I just don't know. But as far as my manifestation goes tonight, I'm with you, Corey. I think a little bit of Fuck album is in order. However, I want to hear Top of the World. That's because I need to feel like I'm standing on top of the world. I need that good ego boost because according to my lady and other people, Mercury's in retrograde and shit's just falling apart and we're all miserable and I'm yelling at my phone for no reason. So it's that's so I need an ego boost so that I can not feel like everything's falling apart. So how about that?
Hey,
Top of the world.
Steve Perry was number 30 and Ann Wilson was number 29 on the top 50 rock singers of all time. So if that's not an example of Mercury in retrograde and everything falling apart, I don't know what is.
Yeah, and that's an example of humanity is finished and there is no God, and there you go. That's where we're at right now. I'm going to be heated about that for the rest of the show, but you won't have to worry, you guys, because we're going to listen to some Van Halen. It's up to you now. Wheel of Doom or Fortune. Let's say we prime it, 4 times? There's 4 people on the call.
Oh, there's actually 5 now. Somebody just jumped on, so let's shuffle this sucker 5 times. 1,
maybe there's
2,
6.
3, 4, 5. Let's do 6. What the hell? All right. Here we go.
Here we go.
Oh, it's a big one.
Oh, no!
This is going to be the one that knocks off Little Guitars, and the Cradle will rock.
It could happen if it was going to be any track. It is our namesake, and the Cradle will rock.
My goodness.
I'll be honest with you, though, Corey. I'm a little sad. Because this should have been the one we ended on, but no, it's happening now. The wheel said, no. No Sammy for use tonight. More Dave.
And I doubt we have anyone upset on the call here tonight that we got in the Cradle Will Rock. I imagine everybody is quite happy.
I mean, yeah. Everybody, well, maybe they don't want to. Maybe they don't want to tip their hand just yet. They're gonna go like, maybe. There's a good chance Michael's lying, and he's just like, yeah, I'm excited, and he's in his head, he's going, I'm excited to talk shit about this song, yeah. And Josh is being stone faced, so it's like, I can't read him, can't get a read on that. So I guess we'll see. Not really a lot of backstory on my end for this one. This is, I would imagine, much like the rest of you, this is one of the quintessential Van Halen songs in their repertoire. So what more needs to be said? After all, we named our show after it, so here we are. So I'm good. I'm ready. Whenever you guys are ready, let's just kick right into this thing.
Roll.
We already have a prediction from Chaz. This will not beat Little Guitars.
He says it won't. The pessimistic part of my brain. Sorry, I got something happened off screen and I got distracted. Sorry. The pessimistic side of my brain wants to be like, yeah, I know, I'm agreeing with Chaz because it probably won't happen because
it won't. No,
everything sucks. But because it's Mercury Gatorade or whatever. But
Mercury Gatorade. There you go.
Yeah, Mercury Gatorade. But the optimist in me says, hey man, it's got a shot.
But you know what else this means? We just finished off Women and Children First. That's right. So we'll have to do a Women and Children First ranking show in September.
Oh my God! Well, there you go. You lurkers, you heard it. You heard it first. So now we've got 2 ready to go. Wow, how about that? In 2 weeks, we've now completed 2 albums.
Yeah, crazy, huh?
Didn't think it was gonna happen. I'll be honest with you. Didn't think.
We're 30 songs away from finishing the Van Halen catalog. It's coming up quick. Ryan Powell's already working on his rankings. That's a good man right there.
Good man. Get a head start.
Make sure you have ready for the end of September. Yeah. All right. What do you say?
I'm ready.
Let's listen to a little And the Cradle Will Rock.
Sorry to do this right up front, but that was the first time the band used synthesizers in that opener for it. So, it kind of direction change for the band from Van Halen 1 and 2.
Wurlitzer electric piano, I believe, was used on this track.
Yeah, through his Marshalls.
Very cool. Yep, through the Marshall Plexi amplifier. Absolutely correct. What a great kickoff of this album, though. Oh
right, yeah. It's probably my favorite part of the song. I know that's weird to say, but just that sort of train or like airplane intro that is, the effect he's using on his guitar. I've always thought that was really cool. And always, in my little boy brain, learning guitar, I always thought if I can figure out how to make that sound good, I'll have achieved great guitar playing status. I did figure it out. I didn't achieve great guitar playing status. I do okay.
And Ryan points out the keyboard's playing the role of the rhythm guitar, which is kind of cool, especially on their third record here. And the first time Eddie's played piano on here. And then Jeff, with his 2 cents, says, "No way, Cradle beats Little Guitars. I don't think anything can at this point. I really think its score is abnormally high." And yes, it is very abnormally high. Not that it's not a great track, but really out of the entire catalog, Little Guitars being the absolute pinnacle. I don't know.
I know. That's why it's almost like the way that Billboard chart was ranked. So
yeah, it's like putting Bono in the top 10 of vocalists. Like vocalists, like lyricists, I could see, but vocalists, come on, over Ann Wilson.
Yeah. Like I do love Bono a little more than you do, but I probably wouldn't have put him in my personal rock top 10.
I can't wait to read your rant later tonight, man. Okay, it's gonna be.
It'll probably happen.
Some new sensation. Well, the kid is into losing sleep, and he don't come home for half a week. It's more than just an aggravation. In the cradle.
Mark, you had your hand up. I'm assuming you were either testifying or you wanted to say something.
It was a rock testify, as he said, rock on, because like I don't see how you don't. You know, it's like it's not even a call and response. It's just that gut feeling. Just yes, do it, rock on. Yeah, I was just enjoying the track.
Jazz says lots of overdubs. He's got to harsh everybody's buzz.
I mean, yes, but I mean that you're gonna find that everywhere, and you're gonna find that with a lot of bands, a lot of layers, a lot of overdub. I mean, that shit just kind of happens, especially in the modern age. But I mean, yeah, it happened back then too. I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Ryan Powell says Eddie's lead guitar flourishes are very much in the background, which is interesting. It actually is, yes.
A little bit, yeah.
They try and drum him out of town. They say you could at least faked it, boy. Fake it, boy. At an early age, he hits the street, winds up tied with who he meets, and he's unemployed.
So Dave, I give Dave a lot of flack for a lot of his lyric writing, but I try to give him a lot of props when he does the thing he does very well with his lyrics, and that's paint an image and tell a story. This is definitely a story. This is like Running with the Devil vibes. You know what I'm saying? Just in terms of the lyrical story or the lyrical portrait he is painting for you. In my younger days, I didn't care. I didn't really listen to it for the lyrics, but just kind of reading them now in this older, somewhat wiser brain. It's interesting. Yeah, he's obviously not talking about himself in this, or maybe do you think maybe he's trying to get a little like autobiographical? Because the way I understand his upbringing, like I don't think so. But how do you guys feel about the story he is portraying in the lyrics?
You know, he was wealthy growing up, but
yeah,
he might have meant more friends, or just kind of when he went out before the band, just kind of, you know, going through life and not really having much of a purpose, probably till he met the brothers and all of that. I could see that parallel. But you're right, it does. I mean, you can imagine this kid walking down the street, just like Dave says, and he does paint a good picture, like you said.
Yeah, even if it's not, even if you don't relate to it on a like personal level, it's like, oh, that happened to me, or even if it didn't, you can still you very clearly see the image, and you can put yourself, I guess, in the shoes of this, for lack of a better term, character.
Maybe he was talking about one of the brothers. You know, when you look at it,
yeah,
because they couldn't have been unemployed. They were the opposite.
Yeah. That could be, or just like maybe it was somebody like a mutual friend or something, or he's just making it up right off the cuff. Who knows? I don't know that because I'm not an expert in David Lee Roth or Van Halen. Just a fan making observations. Josh, how you feeling about it?
Well, I know he mentioned something in his book about growing up, I guess partially in Indiana, where, you know, he was probably not connected with a number of the people out there, you know, considering his background is a little different than everyone else's.
Right.
And so I think that's kind of a universal, I think just about everyone kind of goes through that in life, regardless of what their status is. You know, they feel that lack of connection, and perhaps the only thing you have is, you know, your whatever you can escape to, with whether it's books or music or, you know, just stirring in your emotions.
Definitely for the adolescent mindset and growing up. You know, a lot of a coming of age story, if you will, sort of in the Cradle or Rock. How are you feeling about it lyrically, Corey?
I agree with everything you guys kind of said about it lyrically. It's one of my favorite David Lee Roth songs, actually, that he penned. I could see it being a little autobiographical, but he's a very talented lyricist. I know a lot of people kind of push back on me when I say that, but he can write just horny bullshit, and he can put a little more thought into it when needed. This one, I think, had a little more thought to it. The chat is kind of going crazy here. They're talking about little guitars being number one. And
bringing it back to that.
Jeff Brewer, he would choose Mean Street, But he would have thought the public at large would have chosen Panama, which I 100% agree with. Like the fact Panama didn't do as well as it did is kind of weird. And,
I wonder if it's like the Jump effect, where so many people didn't give Jump the upvote because they just overheard it. It's they were sick of it. Like, whatever. It's just nah, because I don't even listen to that song anymore. Like, yeah, it's great, but I've heard it too much. So maybe Panama had something like that going for it. I don't know.
Chaz thinks at its core, and the Cradle Will Rock is a song about the disillusionment of the American dream.
Definitely feel that.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely feel
Well put.
that. So if that if that's kind of literally what Dave's going for, then he's painting a very clear picture. And when he does that well, he does it really well.
Yep. And Jeff points out that on stage in 1980, the keyboard intro was played by Michael Anthony. So.
Whew, nice.
Yep. Kind of cool. On the 07-08 tour, David Lee Roth says, "Have you seen Wolfie's grades?" instead of "Have you seen Junior's grades?" So,
I mean, how could you not? Just to poke fun. It's like, yeah, we got a kid in the band, so why not?
Here, Jeff got to finish his thought. Mike actually played the keyboard part during the 1980 tour because Ed was a guitar hero and nobody wanted to see him play keyboards. He put that in quotes because that's what Dave always said, right? In an interview from then, Ed complained about Mike's playing.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, of course he did.
Of course he did, yeah.
Man, you're like, look, we love the brothers Van Halen, but when they shit on Mikey, I just get so defensive. And I don't know why.
Yeah, he's like the nicest guy, so...
I think so. I think that he does our intro for the show, as you guys know. So like, come on, man. Like we love Mikey, and we wax poetic about his time in the band. So yeah, we're very protective of that man.
One more thing before we play it again. I found a quote from Eddie Van Halen about this song. He says, quote, "Al and I jammed on the basic riff for And the Cradle Will Rock 2 hours a day for 2 straight weeks. We didn't really know what to do with it, but we were having fun because it just sounded so wicked. Then out of nowhere, the chorus came to us and it was finished. Sometimes you really have to work for inspiration, but ultimately, it's not really work because my brother and I genuinely love to jam."
Yeah, and you can feel it. You definitely hear it. It's all there. And if you see him live footage, or if you're seeing him live with Eddie grinning all the time, he's like, yeah, he's having fun.
Yep, absolutely. All right, let's get back to it. All right, I found a quote on that guitar solo. Eddie said, quote, "The solo in that song is unusual. I do one short lick that's very spontaneous. It came up because I'd been listening to Alan Holdsworth, who I think is the baddest. This was a first take. A bunch of songs on that album were first takes."
I love that, because that little moment, and you all know the moment he's talking about, it's like, doo, 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 doo. Like, I always felt like, even though that little riff feels like it should be out of place for the whole song, for some reason it doesn't. It just and maybe it's just because we've lived with the song for so long at this point. We just know it's there, and if you take it out, it's gonna feel weird. But I don't know, I just, even when I'm a kid listening to that, I always go like, this part sounds weird, but it's the transition works somehow. I don't know how you managed to pull that off, but then again, we're talking about Van Halen. That's what they do.
That part, though, coupled with then Dave coming right in, makes it even better. And Dave, they knew how to work together and really do that, where he does, his riff, and then Dave just comes smashing in right after that.
Found a little piece of trivia on the day that Eddie bought this piano. He wrote another Van Halen song on it. Any guesses as to what that song was?
Jump?
Yes.
Good guess.
Yep.
It was either going to be Jump or like maybe one or two other like piano heavy of their tracks, so I just went to the obvious one.
Yep. Apparently, Eddie broke 2 keys on the Wurlitzer because he was pounding on them so hard while they were recording this. So that
sounds about right.
That tracks. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, let's keep it rocking.
You've seen Junior's grades. And when some local kid gets down, they try and jump him out of town. They say you put a piece, baked you, boy, baked you, boy. And so at an early age he hits the street, winds up tied with who he meets, and his honey Floyd, his folks are overjoyed. In the Cradle, we'll ride. Yes, the Cradle will ride. I say rock on. Hey, rock on.
All right, I found another cool Eddie Van Halen quote here about "And the Cradle Will Rock." That was also the first time I played keyboards in the studio. A lot of people don't know that because it doesn't really sound like a keyboard. I had an old Wurlitzer electric piano and I pumped it through my Marshalls. I just pounded on the lower registers and put it through an MXR flanger to get that weird sound. Ted said, "Wow, what the hell is that?" "Oh, nothing, just me screwing around." So we recorded it. That was my first encounter with the band not wanting me to play keyboards. When we did the song live, Mike played it. They didn't want a Guitar Hero playing keyboards on stage.
Ugh, boy. That's hilarious, though. I just love the ingenuity just to try that, just to try like, what happens if I plug this into this this flange effect, and then even your producer like, what the hell? What is that sound you're making? Like, oh, this just you want to always try new things, typically in the studio, but I don't know, like it takes a very special kind of curious mind to just at that time come up with that idea. I mean, that's brilliant, man.
Yep. Jeff Brewer says Ed pounds on all his keyboard songs. He's not usually delicate on the keys. No, he certainly is not. Except maybe How Many Say I, which we won't invoke here because we're having a good time.
Don't invoke it. This is a fun show.
And Jeff says Dave lyrics are pretty good here. I think they're pretty great here, Jeff. Absolutely, yeah, fantastic stuff.
All things considered, yeah.
Go ahead, Josh.
So if we go back to that guitar solo, and you talked about the Holdsworth influence, before Have You Seen Junior's Grades? Following that, you can really hear the Clapton influence with the really aggressive bends, and just and some of the interplay. It sounds a little bit like maybe Mark III, Deep Purple era with Coverdale and vocals, and Glenn Hughes. The real heavy emphasis on the keys and the guitar at times playing a little background to the keys being so heavy.
Ryan Powell says Ed's attack on How Many Say I actually proves Jeff's point, forcing me to go back and listen to that song, which I'm not keen on doing, but I will just to.
You don't have to. No one's forcing you.
I feel like it's my job at this point.
That is I salute you on your re-journey, I guess.
Hey, at some point we're going to finish off Van Halen 3, and we're going to have a live show ranking it. So,
ooh, you're all going to want to stay tuned for that one. Oh boy.
Let's not worry about that now. Let's keep enjoying the goodness of And the Cradle Will Rock. All right, that's And the Cradle Will Rock from 1980's Women and Children First. The first single from Women and Children First. Chuck Klosterman ranked it the 50th best Van Halen song of all time, saying, quote, "I've always found it a bit ponderous and uncompromisingly average, but I've also listened to it somewhere in the vicinity of 8,000 times." So maybe he's just a little tired of it.
Oh, but it's average. Yeah, that's what I think it is. It's like, well, it's just like, again, it's the jump effect, I think. It's people are just so, which worries me even further about how the ranking for this one's going to go in terms of the poll or just the votes. But I implore you guys, vote with your heart, not with not with your dumb brain. We all got dumb brains, but so it's just like, you vote with your heart. Come on, you know the true answer. That's all I say. That's all I ask. But there it is, and the Cradle will rock on, all you rockers. I mean, there's a reason we're named after it, man. Like there it is right there. I mean, why play it off and skip any notions? Let's just go straight to our patrons there. Michael, you know this song, you groove into it, but how do you really feel? Is the Cradle will rock what dreams are made of, or is the dream over?
This is, well, it's another great opener. So they just haven't mastered how to open an album. So kudos to that. And what's interesting is, I think you guys, I'm sure, have said it. A lot of people have said it, is Van Halen 1 and 2 are kind of one big album. And then here's the one where it's like, okay, the band's evolved. They're changing direction a little. You know, the rock's getting more, a little more aggressive, like Romeo Delight, but then they're exploring new things like In a Simple Rhyme. And then this song, I mean, they bring in a new instrument than they never did in the previous two. So it's a great song. The lyrics are great. The solo is great. The outro, they either do one or two outros. They do the fade out like this one, or they do the just kind of the big explosion outro. It's cool. And it's a great opener too, to kind of set the stage for, what's to come.
Hell yeah, good stuff, man. There it is. Josh, we throw it to you, man. You've been got your blank face, keeping a lot to, there you go. Okay, there it is. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is another great opener, as well as a new direction for the band, and all the experimentation and the chances they took, they all hit. So, definitely a thumbs up for me.
There you go. I mean, what more need be said? Am I right? But instead, I throw it to Corey. I throw it to you, my dude. What? I mean, do I really need to, or can I just vote for the both of us?
I think you can vote for the both of us.
After you, sir.
Fuck off. If you downvote this, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Who hurt you? Are you pissed off at David Lee Roth for his idiotic tweets? Did Sammy piss you off at some point in his solo career and you just hate Van Halen? I can't imagine Eddie Van Halen ever pissing you off, because he was just salt of the earth. Michael, fuck, this is so fucking cool. Lyrically, it's great. Musically, it's great. We didn't even talk about Alex. What an amazing performance on the drum. The cymbal sounds so fucking cool, especially on the hat. On the verses, listen to him on the hi-hat. Like, just nice and crisp and clean, and everything is fucking popping. Drums killing it, bass killing it, guitar killing it. This is like top 10 Van Halen for me. Absolutely 100% what dreams are made of. And better than little guitars. There, I said it.
I echo that sentiment. It's definitely better than Little Guitars. We don't hate that song, obviously.
Nope.
But this song just absolutely, much like the Cradle, rocks. And it rocks much harder than that song. To me, this is one of those quintessential Van Halen tunes. Like, it's one of those, if there was just a small playlist, just a very short playlist of Van Halen songs that are essential, in my opinion, somewhere in that small list, this song goes on there. And, it has nothing to do with the fact that it's because it's the Dave era versus the Sammy. Like, has nothing to do with that. Because if Sammy did this, he would he would do a good job, I think. It would be different, but it would be a good job. But nevertheless, it's just a good Van Halen song, and I defy any of you out there to tell me that this song doesn't at least come into your brain just a little bit when someone mentions the Van Halen repertoire, as it were. Because it's iconic. This song is iconic. Obviously, we named our show after it. Damn it! But just nevertheless, man, it's like the numbers don't lie. Like it's popular for a reason. People love this song. I will be shocked, I tell you, if the voting does not break 90% on yeses, and if it doesn't, I will have words with each and every one of you.
There will be rants aplenty from Mark Meyer, but Chaz says Sammy would not do this one well. Your thoughts, Mark Meyer?
My thoughts are, I acknowledge you believe that. I also believe you're wrong. and that's
also,
what I'll say.
Jeff is quite helpful. He says, hey, this would be a good title for a Van Halen podcast.
Shit.
And yeah, Ryan says almost, but not quite there. Maybe a small modification like "And the Cradle Will Podcast" or "Podcast The Cradle Will Rock" and "Podcast Cradle Will Rock" and "The Cradle Will Podcast" again. Lots of great suggestions there. We went with obviously the worst one, unfortunately. But we can't take it back now.
No, there's merchandise. We can't
Exactly.
undo all that
There's
merch.
merch.
So
Yep.
we
what
have
we
a
can do?
hashtag. What?
You know what we can do?
Oh, we're bringing this back. Yes, because we're not done yet.
No,
Corey
we're
has
not.
determined.
This one is a shocker too, folks. You're gonna. I couldn't believe this one. How many times has Van Halen performed "And the Cradle Will Rock"? You would think in the 600-700s, right? Well, you might be surprised. Let's start with Michael Griffith. Michael, how many times do you think Van Halen performed "And the Cradle Will Rock"?
I mean, it has to be up there. I thought while I was there, so they did this during the reunion with Dave. So I'm gonna say 325.
325. All right, Josh.
I'm gonna go 55.
55. That's way low. All right. Okay. Mark Meyer, what do you think?
Well, you said the answer might surprise, so we're gonna have to go kind of the opposite way. I think they played this only 30 times.
30 times. Well, I tell you, we have a winner, and it's Josh. The correct answer is 207 times. So
You
not
made
quite
it seem
that
like
low.
they didn't play it all that much. Like, what the shit? 200 times?
Well,
That's a lot.
Check this out. They played it in 1980 112 times, and then they didn't play it again until 2007. That's what I found surprising. They didn't play it all during the Sammy era.
I guess that is, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a single too, right? So
Yeah,
to
it
not
was a
play a single, that's strange.
It hit
I guess
number
we'll never
55
know.
on the Billboard Hot 100, and yeah, they only played it, like I said, only 207 times. But when you think about, their song stats, some of these, 600-700 times they played some of these songs. So the fact that they only played that one, a classic song, 200 times, Ain't Talking About Love was played 1,200 times.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's a mainstay song.
Yeah.
Like
Even Sammy played that one.
Yeah.
So he played the
yes, he
number.
did. And spoiler alert, he does it way better live. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there.
Here's a good one.
And I guess
Dance the Night Away was played 605 times. And I'm going to rude that
wow.
because we haven't covered that one yet. So remember that, Mark Meyer, for when we cover that song. But
I'll see. I don't know. Sometimes sometimes this information just leaves my brain. So, but we'll see. That is kind of shocking though that they took such a hiatus, as it were, from that song. Because again, I think it's a quintessential Van Halen tune. But what do I know? I'm not in the band. But nevertheless, there you are. There, not yet. Yeah, it ain't happening unless Wolfie decides it's like, hey, I want that guy to join me on stage real quick. I'm like, hey, but we all can dream. But speaking of dreams, the dream was not over on tonight's episode. No, full sweep. This is what dreams are made of for, and the Cradle will rock. And why wouldn't it be? Am I right? So big shout out to all you lurkers. Thank you guys for being in the chat. All of our Patreon patrons, as it were. In fact, I will list off who our patrons are. So just to give you a big old thank you. First, we'll start with Michael and Josh. Thank you guys for being on the show. I mean, hey,
thank you guys.
It's one of the perks, man. If you guys want to be on the show, just like these guys, join our Patreon, get on the right tier. If we don't have a tier that looks right for you, let us know. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out because I guarantee we can do something. But here are some other people enjoying the perks. Matt Lacoste, Nate from the Deep Purple Podcast, Rava Flav, Greg Zito, Chaz Charles, our chart man Chaz, as it were, Sean McGinnity, Kevin Brown, Per Lineker, Scott Monroe, Ryan Powell, Jeff Brewer, Ben Andriozzi, Tom Armbruster, Scott Everett, Heath McCoy, and Janice Risco. Thank you all so much. It really is. It's awesome. We love interacting with you guys, both on Twitter and the Discord. You get to join our Discord channel when you join the Patreon, and it's always a fun conversation. You guys keep it really entertaining, so thank you for that. Corey, will you please let the people know where they can find all of the show's goodness and the like-minded shows?
Oh, they can find us at www.podcastwillrock.com. You can pick up some merch, catch up on old episodes, check out some of our friends, and you can visit our social media at Podcast Will Rock on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all run by the amazing Mark Meyer, and now on YouTube at Podcast Will Rock. You can actually watch the video of this broadcast here if you want to see Michael and Josh's pretty faces. That's the best way to do so. We're getting a ton of views on YouTube somehow, so thank you very much for all the people who found us on YouTube. Over like 1,200 on the Chaz Charles episode. It's the Chaz factor. He brings all the fans to the yard. Chaz Charles does. So expect more Chaz in the near future. But check us out on YouTube. The live show is August 26th. We are going to be ranking. Fair warning, all of our Patreons get a vote. They get to send in their rankings, and we're reaching out to some special guests like Eric Sinich, like Greg Runoff, like a few more to get their rankings on Fair Warning as well. And we're going to compile all the votes together and come up with the ultimate and the Podcast Will Rock ranking of Fair Warning. And as we pointed out here, we just knocked off Women and Children first as well. That'll be September's live show. So check that out. Yes, but if you love rock podcasts, the best place to check them out is at the Deep Dive Podcast Network, where you can find such shows as Backtracks Aerosmith Revisited with myself and Scott Haskin, Backtracks Theme Music with myself and John Mariano, the Ultimate Catalog Clash with myself and Kevin Brown. This season we're covering Phil Collins era Genesis. You can also catch Kevin at the Tom Petty Project and Seaside Pod Review with Randy Wood. Scott Haskin has a show called Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. Nate and John at the Deep Purple Podcast. The Simple Men at Skinnerd Reconsidered. Terry T-Bone Mathley at T-Bone's Prime Cuts on the Other Side. Rye at Sabbath Bloody Podcast. Paul Joan David at In the Lap of the Pods. Andy and Mac at Hawk Binge. Eric and Jonathan at Maiden A to Z. Daniel and Josh at Diary of the Madmen, the Ultimate Aussie Podcast. Ben and Sam at Universally Speaking, the Red Hot Chili Peppers Podcast. Anthony Kiedis made that top 50 vocalist list. George and Hattie at the Judas Priest Cast. Clay and Raya at North by South Podcast. Greg and Jonathan at So Far, So Pod, So What. Quinn at Volume for All, Sav, Nick, Steve, and Mark at the Rock Roulette Podcast, and Chaz and Greg at Regarding Lulu. And please check out all of our favorite podcasts that aren't so much music related. We have Sean Geek and the Fast Fret Podcast, You're All Doomed, a Friday the 13th podcast, the DLR Cast, the Bogus Oda Show, Pod of Thunder, the recognized symbol of excellence in rock and roll podcasting, Booked on Rock with the legendary Eric Senich, Dissect That Film, and Three's Company 2 Rewatch Podcast. Whew.
Lots and lots. Thank you so much for listing those off. Once again, sending our thank yous to our honored guests and honoree members of the show, Michael and Josh. You guys, always a pleasure having you on. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Of course. So, and a big, just for the show's sake, and I feel like there's a quota. You get in 1 apologies to Gary and 0 apologies to the Billboard site and charts and rankings. You guys, I have so much to say to you, and you're not even ready for it. So be on the lookout for that. God, the more I keep thinking about it, I was actually done thinking about it until you brought up Anthony Kiedis.
That made me angry too.
Okay. So, but anyway, I digress. And if you want more, if you want to look forward to that, I guess follow me on Twitter at @MarkTheBat to see if I just absolutely let Billboard have it for having such a stupid. Anyway, or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll take the high road and just forget it, but I doubt it. Anywho, but at @MarkTheBat on Twitter and Instagram if you want to follow me and all that. Be as Corey said, be on the lookout for that live show, man. We're gonna talk about Fair Warning. We finally finished. That's our first album we finished, so that's an amazing feat, and we couldn't have done it without you guys, with all your support, your votes. Keep the voting coming. Keep the support coming. Share the show with your friends. I guarantee if you like Van Halen, you know somebody else who likes Van Halen. So, hey, maybe they'd like to hear a couple of schmoes like us talk about Van Halen, because we are not experts. We are not rock historians. We are simply humble fans who listen to a lot of rock music, and we happen to really love a band, and we wanted to talk about it. We based a whole show around them. That is the deal. That's what it is, and that is what it's always been, and it's what we'll continue to do until the wheel has no more songs for us to talk about. And then we'll probably still go anyway, so be on the lookout for that. We are, and the podcast will rock, and we will rock you later.